it's Marianna here. I'm the VP again of Commercial Awareness Society. So today we thought we could do like a bonus kind of video because we cannot do any events face-to-face anymore and bring firms for you and gain invaluable information about applications or commercial awareness in general and develop our skills. I thought I could contact one of my closest friends, Dimitra, who is a trainee at Clyde&Co in Manchester. And so we did a short video on this, which will follow, and I hope you enjoy it. Hi, Dimitra. Welcome.
Hello, Marianna.
How are you?
I'm good.
I wanted to ask you a bit about yourself, so everyone knows who you are and a bit of your journey before we get started.
Yeah, so my name is Dimitra, as you may have guessed. I'm a second seat trainee at Clyde&Co in Manchester. It all started when I moved to Manchester for university. So I did my law degree there. I finished it in like 2 years ago. Then I did my LPC at BPP in Manchester, and I started my training contract this August at Clyde&Co. And so far it's been a journey. It's been a hell of a ride, yeah. I must say.
When did you get your training contract?
So I started my applications when I was in my second year of university. As I did a law degree, we are all allowed to start our applications usually in the second year of law school. So I started with vacation scheme applications. So most of you will know, I'm assuming, that those are 2 or 3 week internships with law firms in the summer or spring or winter. They're offered mainly to second year students, for law students, and for non-law I think it's the penultimate year of your degree or the last year. So I started my applications in my second year. I did 4 applications because back then I did not know how to do this whole thing. So I tried to focus only on 4 so that I could minimize the amount of information that I had to process. It's a really tough time making applications, especially because you have to think about your priorities, the things that you like, and having just started a law degree, you're probably a bit lost, I'm not gonna lie. At least this is how I felt. So I only focused on 4 firms, and then I did my I secured the vacation scheme with Clyde&Co in Manchester that summer of my second year. It was a great 2 weeks. So when I got offered the training contract, I was thrilled.
Yeah, I'm
and at the beginning of my 3rd year.
How did you choose firms, or do you think it was something specific that you did in your application that made you stand out, or what was it?
I think it's not magic. I do say that most of the time there's always a bit of luck, because there's always circumstances that might allow you to get to the next stage, or might not allow you to do so. But what I would say is that the hardest part is choosing where you're going to apply to. What I did not understand in the beginning when I was making applications was that going to law firms and firm events was actually there for me to understand what type of law they're doing and what type of clients they have. In my first year of law, I went to a couple of those events and I just went for the drinks. I did not know what was going on. I was too scared to ask a question. But then in the second year, I started digging a bit more and trying to find out what I would like to be after uni. So I was settled to do something more commercial from then, and started going to evenings with law firms that were doing a bit something in commercial or corporate. How I got to know Clyde's was through the law clinic we had at Manchester. I think you had one in Cardiff as well. It's the Pro Bono Society.
Yeah, we had a lot of projects, but I did the Innocence Project, for example.
Yeah, so it's a similar like that. We get some pro bono cases and we work on them with a supervisor and an actual lawyer, because
okay, that's cool. Yeah,
qualified when you're a second year. So when I did my training for this clinic, two associates from Clyde's came along to teach us skills about research and how to deal with clients and how to draft letters and letters of advice. So I am after the training, there was a really nice drinks reception, and we got to socialize with the two associates, and they described a bit about the work they do at Clyde's, which is mainly insurance work, and we do a lot of defense, especially in Manchester. So I got a bit interested there, mainly for the work, and also because I actually talked to the people that were representing the firm, and they both seemed very personable, very down to earth, easy to talk to, and I thought this made it easier in my head. So I went home, I researched Clyde a bit more, and I found the areas that they're working on very interesting. So I was like, okay, that's one on my list.
Okay.
And it kind of like went down that way for the other three firms that I chose. And at the end of the day, because there's so many firms and they specialize in way too many different areas, I think the hardest part to do is choose the firms that you want to apply to.
So you chose them through events where you met them, etc.?
Yes.
Yeah.
So I think my first thing was browsing around to see what kind of law I want to do. So I knew that I didn't want to do family law. I knew that I was not interested in criminal law. So I started like taking those areas out of my mind. Yeah. And then I'm still stuck and I'm still trying to figure out what I want to do. But I knew I wanted to do something more commercial. So I narrowed it down. Then I got one of those lovely books that we have, the guides, target jobs and all that.
Yeah, the student guide,
about firms. Yeah. And then I started going to a few events. So I think it's really important when it comes to choosing a firm to speak to the people that represent the firm. Yeah. Because at the end of the day, you're gonna spend a part of your life at that firm. So you need to know if
at least 2 years.
That you can communicate with those people and that you feel like you can fit in the kind of environment that the firm promotes. So I think that was the main deciding factor. But it's a lot of research. It's a lot of web browsing. Going and reading on blogs about the work they do. LinkedIn is great as well. Yeah. If you can connect with somebody that knows somebody, it's great. If you want to pop a question, even to trainees, we're usually really approachable, and we, like most of trainees of like in most firms, they go to law firms as well, law firms. So it's easy to connect with them and pop up a question when you feel like you want to make an application and you don't know how to answer a question. So that's a good tip, I guess.
Did you do any other back schemes, or how did the other applications go?
Formally, I didn't do any other back schemes. I did a bit of work shadowing back in Greece, in Athens, where I'm from, mainly through people that we knew back here. So I sent a couple of CVs and I did a bit of work shadowing, but it wasn't a formal back scheme. I found it hard to secure one, and then rejection wasn't the best thing, obviously. Especially when you've worked hard on an application and you feel like you've nailed it, you feel like you've got your commercial awareness question, which is the most horrible out of all of them, I think.
Yeah, I think too. Yeah.
So as soon as you feel like you've nailed your application, it's not great getting that generic email that says you've been unsuccessful.
Yeah. What does commercial awareness mean to you now that you mention it?
I think it's a dreaded term for every law student. And it literally means nothing more than knowing what's going around in the world, especially in the markets. So you take what's commercial and you take awareness, but I feel like law students are very aware of their surroundings. We want to know things, we are curious. So that's not the hard part. The hard part is knowing how to link two pieces of articles together. Yeah. So if the president of the United States comes up with says something about China tomorrow, you need to be able to link that to the economy, and then link it back to the businesses. So I think that's the hardest part about commercial awareness. It's not reading, because we all read the news like one way or another. Even through Facebook, Twitter, they're all there. There's so many news. There's so much news there. Like, we were bombarded with it. The hardest part is actually to filter through and understand what's going on. So for that, I would suggest probably sticking to 2 or 3 key areas that interest the person who's applying. So if you're applying, I'd say, if you think that you like shipping, for example, then probably stick to that area. When it comes to
it's difficult to be an expert on all of them, and you're not even, because you're just developing.
Even lawyers, you'll meet great lawyers, partners at firms that are not experts in all areas. They're expert in one area, and that's how it goes. You start and specialize in one area as you go along. But the hardest part about commercial awareness is literally just linking what you've just read with what's going to go on in practice and start making assumptions. A good way to do that is like by listening podcasts, or maybe people that actually comment on news articles to see, because a news article is going to present you only what's going on, but the commentary is going to give you what the possible impact of that is.
I agree with that. Do you have any podcasts that you are listening to, or that you may recommend to our viewers?
Moment, but I think I used to listen to one from The Guardian that was quite good.
Is that on Spotify?
It's on the Guardian's website, so I could drop you the link.
Okay, thank you. So let's talk about more of your life as a trainee right now. Are you enjoying it?
Yes, it's definitely very different from what I expected, I think.
Which means?
I think it's challenging. No one honestly prepares you for what it is to work in the real world. University is nothing like work. The LPC brings you a bit closer to what you're going to be doing, yes. But you need to understand that the first day you're in your seat, any seat, even if that's the first or the second or the third or the fourth, you're not going to know anything about this department. No matter how much you've read about it, no matter how much you have talked to other people about it, the moment that somebody says, please do this, you're not going to know what to do. Besides the IT problems that you have like the first few weeks.
So you think you have been given a true possibility to develop your skills and get ready for, qualification?
Yes. The only tricky thing now is obviously the global pandemic we're living through. And that's been a challenge to everyone and every firm that I know of, at least. Graduate recruitment is working really hard for us, and all of our supervisors are trying to keep in touch with us almost daily to ensure that we have good quality of work and good range of work. But it's a challenge, and it's bringing a lot of changes in the way we work and the volume of our work and everything. So even the SRA is making decisions at the moment about what's going to go on with training contracts. So it's a new, let's say it's a new era. It's something very new to everyone. So I'm not sure if I'm going to develop.
We can also see it, from exams and stuff. We're still waiting if we're going to have it online or not, which probably we're going to have it. But how do you believe that the legal industry will deal with this crisis right now? Do you think there will be many changes?
Definitely. A very positive change is the fact that we're actually more flexible, and that a lot of businesses are going to understand that working from home is possible. That's really important for a lot of people, actually, and especially working moms, I'd say, because in the past there's been a lot of businesses that thought that working from home is not possible, and now we're actually saying that we're doing it.
We have to.
So flexible working is going to be probably much easier now. And also the fact that we are actually digitizing cases and learning to work agile is very important for a lot of firms, and even a few teams in certain firms are heavily reliant on paper. So it's a positive step and a positive change, both for us technologically and the environment, because there's so much paper that we waste every day, if we're not trying to at least work more electronically. So that's the second change. The third one I'd say is, honestly, no one knows what's going to happen. There's a lot of scaremongering about the economic crisis that's probably going to hit us very soon. But what we need to focus on is that every economic crisis comes with some new forms of investment, or there's always opportunities that pop up even in times of crisis. So let's not lose all hope.
I like the positivity here.
And the other thing is that there's going to be definitely a lot of legal changes. Like all governments have been passing emergency legislations, UK with the Coronavirus Act and all, but there's also a lot of like interesting legal news at the moment, because apparently there's talk about how much China is to blame for this pandemic, and there's a lot of that's probably going to unravel soon, because both the US government and the German government are on it at the moment. So I think we're going to see a lot of interesting news articles.
I agree. So to end this, do you have any tips for our viewers for applications? Let me write this down as well, so you know.
Say it comes to research and target and doing targeted research, I'd say dedicate only 1 or 2 hours of your time per day, and make sure that you're focused when you're doing it. Start narrowing down the areas of law that you are interested in. Then start narrowing down the firms that you're interested in, the types of firms, because there's American firms, there is international firms, there's national firms, there's boutique firms, there's high street firms. So make sure that you know what kind of firm you're going to be working into. There's a lot of guides online, and there's we're lucky to have actually access to all those websites for free. So I'd say start generically from the areas of law and the types of law firms you want to work in. Then I'd go individually on a few websites of firms and see what kind of work they do, what kind of clientele they have. And a key insight is reading about those firms through LinkedIn again and blog posts, because you're not going to find any negative comments on their website. It's good to look at blog posts as well. And if you find your top, let's say 10 firms, then try narrowing it down by talking to people, which is it might be a bit harder now because there's not going to be as many networking events, although a lot of firms are trying to work around this at the moment. I'd say LinkedIn is your
LinkedIn for now,
key. Is your key. Even if you know somebody who has worked or will work in the future in one firm, try to contact them. No one is going to be angry just because you want some information. Firms want to know that you're interested in them, and one way of being interested in them is actually knowing what they do. And it's a hard thing because their websites are pretty similar. I'm not going to lie. Everybody says that they are innovative and creative, but what does that actually mean for their firm? So a second thing that I would say is knowing about yourself. It's a matter of knowing what goals you have, what values you have, what kind of lifestyle you want to have. If work-life balance for you is important, then probably you wouldn't choose a firm that is known to work 9 to 9, or an area of law, because for example, at Clyde's, there's areas that people have set hours, and there's other areas like construction, let's say, that are more unpredictable. Transactional law tends to be the one that people do lose sleep over, because you have to wait until your international clients give you the green light to get to the next stage of transaction. So I'd say the second bit is knowing about what you want to do and what you value the most. Is it money that drives you? Is it the prestige of the cases? Is it the area of law that you're really passionate about? Is it a specific client that you want to work for? Do you want to do claimant work? Do you want to do defense work? So do you want to do even litigation, or do you want to do something that's transactional? And what does that actually mean for you?
Yeah.
So first step, know the firm. Second step, know what you want to do and know about yourself. And the third step is down to writing, which is daunting because you have to.
I've been putting it off
Yeah.
for so long.
Yeah, it's hard, but I'd start with bullet points and keywords. Keywords are important in applications because graduate recruiters read through so many applications, and it makes sense that only a few words are gonna pop out. Go to that firm's website, see what values are important for them, and try to see if those values are the ones that you have in common. Do you feel like that this is something that you would want to be doing? If yes, then write it down. Are you creative? Show it. Write an example of how you were creative.
Yeah.
So I'd say use keywords and use examples, because this is how you present yourself. This is how you present your case. It's your time to shine, essentially, on that paper.
Yeah,
you have to show everything that you've done off, everything that's relevant, obviously, but sometimes things that we might think are not even relevant can be. For example, my friend was telling me the other day that she did a customer service job at a cinema, and she had deleted it from her LinkedIn, and I actually thought this was very odd, because in the UK, to find a customer service job and put that on your LinkedIn is very important, because people are going to know what kind of skills you learned from it.
Yeah.
Also, don't assume that people are going to know what type of work you were doing. So spell it out. Literally spell it out. Give examples of the work that you've done before. Give examples of the skills that you've learned. You keep it simple. Keep it simple, let's say. It doesn't have to be full of flowery words, but it has to be genuine, and it has to be simple and to the point, because people read loads of applications. So if they feel like you're just dragging on one thing, they're not going to like it. They're going to shut it down.
Thank you very much, Dimitra, for this.
No worries. It was nice seeing you.
Nice seeing you too. Hopefully face to face soon.
Yeah, soon.
Bye. Thank you.
Bye.